Hello and welcome everyone, it is me, Zaval, also known as the Power Duelist, back for you with another Morphtronic profile. Last week, we got some OCG news, and as I've kind of teased in a previous community post, this is a video to kind of talk about Revolution Synchron and its implication in Morphtronics. But you know, who even is Revolution Synchron besides, of course, the son of Power Tool Dragon, probably, when you're looking at the artwork. It's a level 3 Earth Machine tuner that allows you to, if you would Synchro summon a Power Tool Synchro monster or a level 7 or 8 Dragon type Synchro monster, use this card from your hand as material. That's a hard once per turn. And if this guy's in your graveyard and you control a level 7 or higher Synchro monster, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, you special summon this card, but it becomes level 1, and that second effect is once per duel. A very rare clause that kind of makes this glorified glow-up bulb into a very interesting tuner for, I think, a lot of Synchro decks, as it's fairly generic and also fairly easy to search off of a card like tuning. For the rest of the deck list, this is probably fairly standard at this point. We're playing 3 Southbound to summon Morphtronics from the deck, 3 Smartphone to add Morphtronic cards from our deck to our hand, 3 Telephone to summon monsters back from the graveyard, 3 Remoten to add Morphtronics from deck to hand after banishing one from the graveyard, 2 Scopen to either summon a level 4 from our hand or turn this guy into a level 4 tuner, and 2 copies of our kind of level 4 of choice. I'm playing Boomboxen here, but like you could be playing Radion, Stapon, Slingen, or Videon in this slot. It really doesn't make a huge difference. Each of these 5 is like equally old and will do equally much for the deck. I'm playing Boomboxen because I have super rares. But yeah. A 3 Gadget Gamer, one of the best normal summons in the deck. On normal summon, this adds a level 1 machine from deck to hand, and you contribute this to special a Morphtronic from your hand and a Gadget Hauler from your deck. There's the Gadget Hauler. In terms of like spells, we're on 1/1 to grab, the funds. We're on the Monster Reborn for, a powerful extender. Caught by the Grave against hand traps. On Braver equips, we are playing Life Extreme, wrapped in a Supreme Magic Blade, Metal Silver Armor. And then we're still playing 3 Repair Unit to grab off of OG Power Tool, 3 Tuning to grab, Baby Power Tool, playing 2 Converter, 2 Junk Box as archetypal extenders, and 3 Machine Duplication because the card's kind of crazy. Extra deck, also not really a big surprise. A Power Tool Dragon, Power Tool Braver Dragon. Included a Baron the Floor, as this is, a bit of theory crafting, and Baron is a pretty good end piece for the deck. Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, also here, finally a moment to talk about this guy, as he's pretty crazy. If you Synchro Summon, you can special summon a level 2 or lower tuner from your graveyard. And that's honestly all you need to know about this card, unless you're playing specifically Stardust Dragon in your extra deck, which pretty based, but not really optimal in this time. Yeah, you make this as an 8, it revives like a Telephone or a Smartphone, and you make Braver. It's pretty good for the deck. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon for some early Nibiru proofing. A super heavy Submaster Musashi. Really like this guy to add machines back from the graveyard. Naturia Beast as another endboard piece if you really, want your opponent to not resolve spells. Earphone as a very good stopgap Synchro monster to make on your way to Naturia Beast. And a Formula Synchron to get maybe an additional draw in. Small kind of, link package, Underworld Goddess, Access Code Talker, Appaloosa, Nightmare Unicorn, Platinum Gadget, and a Link Karibo. Links are pretty easy to make due to Telephone alone, and running a couple of, big links doesn't really hurt the deck in the slightest. In this side deck here, you see some options that we will be talking about maybe later down in this video. We have a Jet Synchron here. If you want to play a second tuning target, Jet Synchron's probably your best option. The level 4s I've already talked about, run like 2 copies or 1 a piece of like whichever ones you think are the coolest. I like Boomboxen the most, so I'm playing Boomboxen. Ancient Fairy Dragon, this is a Radat Ancient Fairy Dragon. That card also has some interesting implication in this deck. And then just a bit of generic stuff you could also be fitting in your deck. The Gizmex are still kind of nice, to be honest, especially in combination with Smallwood for some added consistency. You can, of course, fit other generic extra deck cards into your deck. Nightmare Phoenix. Another couple examples include stuff like Adamant Zopeter, Risen Dragite if you decide on playing, the Gizmek Arakami. Or just generally whatever extra deck piece you are, in favor of. Then we have some other consistency stuff. Clockwork Knights and Foolish Burial Goods. You can Foolish Burial Goods, Clockwork Knights, and then banish Clockwork Knights to add an Earth Machine, which is half your deck. And you can, of course, play the third converter if you find the space for it. I didn't, since I went up to 3 tuning. But you can probably also shave a tuning and then play a converter in that space. But I think with, the deck list now out of the way, we'll, talk about a couple combos specifically using Revolution Synchrons and what those enable. We are starting simple and sweet. This is probably the easiest implications that Revolution Synchron has in 90% of decks that you will be running it in. We're going to turn those two after normal summoning a Boombox into a Power Tool Dragon, using that Power Tool Dragon to grab us a Repair unit, which then in turn allows us to still be able to activate the Revolution Synchron, mill the top card of our deck, summon back the Revolution Synchron as a level 1 tuner, and go into a copy of Crystal Wing. Since Revolution Synchron mills, you can maybe like high roll into a Telephone off the top there that you could revive with the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon to kind of have a braver line there. But technically we just made Crystal Wing in essentially 3 summons, which is pretty crazy. 4 summons, I think. Miscounted there. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and that's the 4th. Which is pretty nice against some early Nibiru proofing with 2 cards out of our hand. 3 cards plus, the repair unit left. It does leave us with a good bit of extension potential, and we are fairly safe from hand traps by now, which is, the baseline that you'll probably be working towards with your Revolution Synchron in this deck. But I think we have another one for you that might be a bit more spicy. This one's a pretty cool one, to be honest. We're going to start by normal summoning Gadget Gamer, going ahead, activating that effect, and grabbing a copy of Morphtronic Southbound. We will then be using the Gadget Gamer effect here, summoning that Southbound and grabbing ourselves that copy of Gadget Hauler from our deck, which in turn enables us to go ahead and make a Power Tool Braver Dragon using the Gadget Hauler and the Baby Power Tool in our hand, using the Braver Dragon effect to equip all 3 equips here, and then we can go ahead and start firing that Southbound effect. This is a point in the line where it turns a bit high rolly. Decks turn to not shuffle, so mind with that. Going to take the Southbound here and fire that, but I think we will probably see similar results to the last one. Yes, indeed, because the deck's not getting shuffled due to the Edo Pro settings. Usually, if you are in a position where your deck will be, of course, randomized properly after each result, you will at minimum sit on Braver Dragon and a Formula Synchron, drawing you a card in the process, which is pretty nice. But if you happen to find any of the level 3 Morphtronic tuners off of the Southbound you searched, you are able to, of course, put that onto the board, turn Southbound, that level 3 tuner, into Earphone, and then from there, revive the Revolution Synchron and go into Naturia Beast. I think I'll probably real quick get up to that point in the combo line again and then show you guys what I mean with that. And as you can see, we are at the exact moment that I mentioned. You have just made your Braver Dragon and not fired the Southbound yet. We have gone through, Gamer, Revolution Synchron, and our Hauler. And if you happen to, be that kind of person and hit a level 3 tuner of your Southbound, which I have arranged on the top, you are of course able to now go into Earphone. Not using the Earphone effect here, but you are able to, summon back that Revolution Synchron since you have a Braver Dragon onto the field. Summon that back as a level 1 and make Naturia Beast that way, giving you a, fairly decent end board. You will be getting Nibiru for your entire life savings on this board, but you're, getting to a good couple of negates with, just 2 cards essentially and a bit of luck. But that's always involved in this deck, so, take this, of course, with a bit of salt, but generally I think a very solid board for, a simple 2-card line. But with that out of the way, what are, my thoughts on Revolution Synchron after, a bit of testing and maybe talking a bit about the combo lines this enables? It's fine. It's a good card. Like, this probably will make for a decent engine for a lot of synchro-based archetypes, as I've mentioned. This is highly searchable off of tuning and is a very good extender. Having a level 3 tuner that is highly searchable, that you don't need to get on the board, is pretty fucking decent, especially considering, This guy is still, you know, a glow up bulb. You can revive this from the graveyard as a level 1 tuner. Level 1 tuners are very, very good. I think many Synchro archetypes can, you know, tell you that story. But for Morphtronics specifically, it's fine. It falls into like this category of cards that there's a lot of for Morphtronics in, you know, the modern game, where the card is good for the deck, but it just makes the deck better at specific things the deck's already decent to good at. This makes Power Tool or potentially Ancient Fairy Dragon lines a bit better, gets you more easily into Crystal Wing, but the deck already has like very proficient lines to go into Crystal Wing, AFD, or Power Tool respectively. You know, Gadget Gamer is a 1-card level 7 Synchro, be it Power Tool or Ancient Fairy Dragon, depending on what route you want to take. And one extender more gets you to Crystal Wing. So that really isn't like a main concern with the deck. But I think it's a very neat inclusion that definitely offers some more variety, as some of those lines become a bit more straightforward. As you've seen, in that initial line, we've made Crystal Wing in just 4 summons, which is pretty decent. Which is probably where you want that Crystal Wing up, so you don't get Nibiru Root for your entire life savings. But yeah, I think similar to, you know, the Gizmax, the dice cards, and some of these, you know, mentioned consistency pieces here at the end, like Small World, Clockwork Knights. This falls into like this broad category of like supplementary cards and engines. You can play a Morphtronics up to personal preference, depending on what you want, be it, you know, more consistency with, you know, something like Small Worlds, Clockwork Knights, or the Gizmek Naganaki, running some out of archetype extenders like the Gizmek Arakami. I still think that's a pretty neat card for the deck. Or, you know, just going really all in terms of extension with Dimension Dice and Dice Dungeon, which is a very sick package to play, especially if you're looking to loop those telephons in a link-based variant. But I think that's why the deck currently is, in my opinion, in a very good spot for what it is. We have a very good casual archetype that is able to produce some decent boards, and also has a very good amount of, you know, individuality in which you can, you know, select whatever, you know, supplementary cards you want. Everything is good, does some good for the deck, and helps in accomplishing the game plan of the deck, which is very nice, I do have to say. And Revolution Synchron, I think, fits perfectly into that category as well. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Something I want to add here at the end, and will probably also include in the pinned comment down below. I have recently become aware that there is actually a Discord focused on discussing the Morphtronic archetype. So if you're looking for a place for, you know, maybe some more in-depth discussion with, you know, fellow-minded Morphtronic players, go ahead, join there. There's a lot of very, very qualified people, I assume, that have taken this deck into a very optimized direction. So if you're looking to maybe get the last bits out of your Morphtronic deck, then feel free to join. I think no one would mind that. But with all that out of the way, I will see you guys again next. I will thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys again next time. But until then, goodbye.